Hey, we are hopping in right now in the middle of draft here for a really exciting series between Albert's Infernos and Metabusters. Bean, I say we talk about the series once draft completes, but what do you see right now? What catches your eye?
So the first thing that caught my eye, like right at the start, was the fact that they first picked Sona. I think that is a really good read against Jacob as he plays Nami, he plays Braum, he plays like those sorts of champions. And so I think Sona was a just absolutely brilliant first pick because it just counters a lot of champions that he locked in. Like if you're locking in Sona and you see Braum, you're happy. If you see Sona, or if you're playing Sona and you see Nami, you're happy. So
Yeah,
I
and
think that was just like,
they chose to ban the Leona as well, which I guess would maybe be Jacob's like most
yeah,
comfortable answer into a Sona.
nope, absolutely. I would have liked, since they chose to put Jacob on the R3, I would have loved to see him lock in like a Nautilus or something of that sort. But I guess on the other side of the coin, maybe he will perform on the Braum, and we will see the power the champion's going to roll out. Um,
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that they did choose to roll the Renekton early instead. Obviously, one of Logan's comfort champions. And
Yeah, the
oh,
Renekton is definitely I think after the Darius that is pretty clearly Korn or Logan's probably most comfortable champ. Personally, I think it's probably its best champ after the Darius. The Darius is so permabanned that you never even see it anymore. But he's had some amazing Renekton games. So I do like that for him. I think Ornn's a fine answer into that, but you're definitely playing to kind of just survive.
throw mitigation. Yeah, absolutely. Um, with that said, too, Braum is
Okay,
a
hold
great
on.
choice to help.
Cassiopeia blind here is really interesting to me. I want to know what Noam is going to take here as the counter pick. You probably want to go for something that has a lot of range if you're playing into Cassiopeia, but I'm not too sure what he's comfortable on that fits that bill.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about Gnome's mid lane champion pool. I mean, he plays some Ziggs.
Whoa,
Ooh.
Syndra. I am assuming that that's Noam mid, which I believe was what they entered. And if that's the case, I don't believe I've ever seen him play Syndra. I will say Syndra is a good matchup into Cassiopeia. As someone that plays a lot of Syndra, I personally think that's a really good matchup. Now, if the Cassiopeia plays really well and is able to like dodge out on some of your stuns, you can get run down. But if the Syndra player is spacing correctly, I think it's almost impossible for Cassiopeia to ever actually do anything to you. I guess Cassiopeia's other benefit is she builds so tanky with like health. If you go like Rod of Ages and Seraph, you can kind of become un-one-shottable in a certain sense, and Syndra does prefer to play against things that are one-shottable. But my initial reaction to both drafts is I think we got really strong drafts on both sides, and there's like counters on both sides. So each team will have something clearly to play for or play through.
Absolutely. I mean, it does look like both teams did some of their homework. Especially on Albert's Inferno side, I think a lot of their decisions were ahead of time, making their choices based off of their opponents' like champion pools, at least that they were aware of. I mean, I'm sure they weren't expecting Syndra because we didn't know anything about Gnome playing Syndra or like maybe a Ziggs or something like along those lines. But yeah, I definitely think it is just overall a really good selective champions along both sides of the map.
Yeah, and I believe that is Fuchsia Jungle, and I'll say he's actually a very good Xin Zhao player. I think he uses the pick really aggressively and really knows like his limit. But at the same time, this is a hard game to pilot Xin Zhao, in my opinion, because I think Udyr and Cassiopeia were like really great answers into that. And then on top of it, Zeri's one of those ADCs that's kind of mobile enough to kind of peel herself off of you. So he's got to play this really well to make sure he's going in at the right time and getting good value out of his ultimate.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be trying to glazing, but I will say I've seen Fuchs and Zhao a lot of times, so I do think if there's anybody who can pull something like that off, it would be him. Like I do think he does have a very good Xin Zhao. I think it's something he's extremely comfortable on, especially when you don't see like Jarvan, especially when you don't see like a Boom or any sort of champion for him to play. I think Xin Zhao is just a champion that he loves to lock in, and I think he does really well on it. So
Yeah, and
really cool to see.
you had mentioned you thought that the decision to take Sona first after banning Leona made a lot of sense because Jacob's pool isn't too great into the pick. he opted to still go for the Braum, and I kind of understand it because I think Braum Ashe is a very strong pairing. And, let's be fair, he does get quite a bit of value against Ornn, could potentially block out that ultimate. But are you surprised to see the Braum here? Do you think, you get enough value with Ashe and against Ornn to have taken it, or would you have wanted to see something else?
I I definitely would have wanted to see something else just because, like, yes, Bromfield is really good against the Ornn, but versus the rest of that team, I mean, like, Zeri presses Arky. Now this may be cap, but I'm pretty sure her like the lightning that she shoots out goes through Bromshield. So even if she's like ulting and hitting Bromshield, I'm pretty sure the damage still jumps between champions. And then if you're playing Sona, like, this is just free stacks in lane. Like if I'm playing, so like I said, if I'm playing Sona and they lock in Braum, I am like celebrating because it's just like I get to sit here and poke with Q and get my stacks, and they can't really do anything in response to it. Obviously, you can also block Sona ult with Braum, but as long as Sona is being patient and playing around that shield, that shouldn't be too much of an issue for her because it's not like a easy ability to read. I don't think like as Braum, like you're not going to be looking out for Sona ult when you're throwing out your E. He's obviously going to be looking more towards that Ornn ulties. And then both like Udyr and Cassio are both champions that like he's just going to have a really hard time playing into. And so I was very surprised to see Braum. And obviously he couldn't see like the Udyr Cassio coming up. But even for like the first 3 picks, I would have just said, you know what? We're just going to have to go off of comfort and just pick something a little bit more aggressive. And Nautilus, Leona's band, Rel, like one of these champions that at least are a little bit harder for Sona to play into because you can just pressure the whole lane. Whereas Braum he doesn't have that ability to just hold the lane down like some of the engaged supports can.
You're spot on. I do want to mention, just for any of the stream watchers, it's been pointed out in chat. We've been talking about it correctly, but the overlay is incorrect. So it's 0-0. It's the first game of the series, and Albert's Inferno is actually the team on the blue side. So flip the overlay in your head if you're watching. It is Inferno on the blue side, and as the higher seed, they chose the blue side, and it's to me, I think they got good value out of it. It came in with like a game plan because there's been a lot of discussion. Me and Dean even kind of talked about this on Baked or Based, where maybe teams aren't utilizing blue side enough. To me, this feels like a great utilization of blue side. I will also say, the order of the roles for Metabusters is listed as Tom Jungle, Fuzier mid, Noam 80 carry. We'll see what they are as we load into game, but my understanding was that they were going to actually have Fuzier jungle, Noam mid, and Tom 80 carry. We'll see. Not 100% sure about that. But I do like what both teams have. But there's a lot of pressure on whoever's piloting Syndra, whether that's Fuzier or whether that's Noam. Whoever's piloting the Syndra, to me, is like the linchpin of this game for Metabusters comp. If the Syndra player plays really well, I think you have angles here because you outrange Udyr, you outrange Cassio, you outrange Ornn, and frankly, you outrange Zeri. So, but there's so much pressure on you because if you miss position and get gone on, your team's screwed. If you don't use your spells on the correct target, your team is screwed. So a lot of pressure on whoever that player ends up being. We'll see what we can get out of them. I do think, Xin Zhao and Syndra as a pairing is a really strong 2v2. You don't necessarily want to be fighting the Udyr Cassiopeia a ton just because I think, that can be difficult for the Xin Zhao. But as a two-man unit moving across the map, if they're able to get to positions first and kind of use Syndra's, leverage and follow up on Xin Zhao's engage, you can actually still get a lot of damage done early. And I do think the early game favors their comp when you look at things like Renekton, you look at things like Xin Zhao, and you look at things like the Ashe. But if the game's like even as we get to like second, third dragon fights and you just have Sona there, healing everyone, and you have a beefy front line of Ornn Udyr, I do once again feel like it's going to be a difficult game. But yeah, not sure how much longer we have until we get into the game, but should be pretty soon. We're loading in right now. Okay. And it is Noam mid on the Syndra, Tom playing AD carry. And I do believe, no, I'm sorry, Tom has played one series, but he played jungle. So this is the debut of Tom playing AD carry in the server. So that's kind of exciting. I do believe he's also kind of from that QC adjacent group. So kind of fun to see him go up against Snark, who's been a really strong AD carry performer.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to just say, like, I absolutely love the drafting just from both teams, and I don't think I've really said that much for Scrim Zone. And I just find that both teams, this is a game where I could say after draft the game can go either way. It's hard for both, like on both sides. There's aspects of the game that are just hard for certain players on both teams, so it can really just go anybody's way.
Runes look pretty. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it is fun drafting, and even though it's like, okay, I think I kind of favor the Inferno draft. What the MetaBusters draft has to me is some really good picks for some great players. Like, Korn's Renekton is disgusting. Fuzier Xin Zhao is amazing, and I think Jacob has been amazing on the Braum. I didn't see the stat, but I know as of at least a week or two ago, Jacob was like, I think, undefeated on Braum. So, or at least had insane stats, if not undefeated. So, a lot of comfort there, but I do think there's a lot of pressure on Noam and Tom, and I think they're kind of the unknowns in this composition. Haven't seen Noam Syndra, haven't seen a ton of Tom AD carry, so they're a little bit the unknowns to me. And at the same time, a lot of comfort on that other side. I've heard that Snark Zeri is absurd. Well, actually, I haven't heard. I've seen it. The game I played against Snark, one game he did play Zeri, and I was actually on Syndra. So I've played that. He's very good at it. Omar is the best Cassiopeia player in the server. So yeah, a lot of comfort there for sure on both sides. Phase Rush Cassiopeia is interesting to me. I've not actually seen that. Cassiopeia typically really loves, Conqueror is what I've seen the most. But Phase Rush, kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how much value we see him get with that this game.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add about Cassia just because honestly, I've never seen the champion, so I don't know very much about her. But as for that, like the lane matchups, I expect Renekton to be having a little bit of an easier time at the start of this lane. You already know my opinion on the bot lane. I think Zona's going to have a heyday. But other than that, and I don't know what it's looking like for the jungle matchups. I mean, obviously you see both of them clearing top side, which is actually kind of interesting to me, but...
Yeah, I will say, they chose to ban, and we'll see if this matters or not. They chose to ban the Darius, which I think made total sense. They chose to ban the Leona, which I think made total sense considering, they wanted to just take this Sona first. The Corki ban's the one that's a little more interesting to me. Personally, I'd rather just get rid of the Renekton. We'll see if the Ornn is a quality enough answer to not get punished, but I've seen Korn win this so many games just solo off of Renekton, so that's kind of... As much as I've said Syndra's kind of the X factor, I do think it's a hard game to pilot Renekton, but I'm like never going to put it past Korn to just like making things happen on that champ. So really kind of fun to see him on what I consider, his best or second best champ.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm biased because I absolutely adore Korn, but I do think like you do have to watch out for his champions. I mean, yes, he has a tighter pool, but at the same time, if he is on the champions that he's comfortable on, he is going to impact the game. You are going to have a rough time into him if you let him play for free. So I agree. I think we should have probably banned Renekton, try to keep him off of his two big champions, and then responded accordingly. But
we'll see. The Ornn,
how it goes out.
Though, so we'll see how much, if it's able to work. I do think Draco, Draco to me has been someone that's performed a lot better over the course of the season. I think, frankly, when Alberts was struggling at the start of the season, it was in large part due to Draco struggling in top and Albert struggling in jungle. But those two players have been so improved, in my opinion, over the course of the season. I think Albert has added multiple champions to his champ pool that you just weren't there last season, and that's helped him so much. And I think Draco's just kind of started performing a lot better individually, which is helping the team out. But you are seeing Korn get a really good trade there.
So
Zin's out here for the counter. Oh, that's and that should just be a dead Sona there. Flashed away, but once that Braum passive is on you, if Ash is going to flash follow and start stacking it, there's no getting away. So really nice counter gank by Fuzier and a good job by Jacob of landing that Q on the Braum and setting up that kill.
And you do have a double scuttle on the blue side, so it was probably a very predictable gank bot lane for both teams. I do think if you're looking at if you're playing Udyr and you're looking towards the bot side, you are trying to avoid ganking that lane for right now because of Ashe and Braum, and then if the counter gank, I do think you would rather let your Sona scale and let Zeri get into the game before you try to really make too many plays bot lane, just because of that exact issue where even though I think it's in blue side bot lanes upper hand, I do also think the 3v3 is always going to go into the red side's favor.
I agree, and
Just 'cause they're
frankly, I
so
think
much stronger.
I really think Udyr's only ganks possible in the early game should be looking towards top. You can't really gank Syndra. Cassiopeia does not have setup, so you can always just get pushed away if the Syndra's not super overextended. But top lane to
Yeah.
me is maybe the lane you could look for. But frankly, you just want to scale if you're Albert's comp, and you just kind of said it. I think all Udyr needs to do is power farm, show up in objectives, and just scale. I mean, if the blue team scales, it becomes so challenging for red, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with ganking mid lane, I mean, if Syndra is up to some extent, Udyr does have the advantage of going unstoppable, so she wouldn't be able to just push him away, but so you do have some angles there. We do see the Braum jump into the queue, just immediately taking so much HP off of that Sona.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah.
Spooky.
Yeah, I mean, Sona definitely a weaker champion lane, but I also think Jeremy kind of just, I mean, the first one, I don't know. You had to follow up your jungler and you got punished. That one just kind of needs to position a little bit better here. I don't think should be getting traded on so heavily. They may look for a dive on Draco, but I don't think you can find a dive on a full health Ornn here, even with the stacked wave.
Yeah, absolutely not. Another big thing is itemization. This is a big, not a peeve, but I flame out of love. So if you are locking in Sona, that first item you build has to be Tear of the Goddess. She just has so much worse of a time in lane if she does not have that Tear of the Goddess first item. You just are able to cast so many less abilities that you just can't stack your passive as much because you can't use your W very often because of how expensive it is. You can still Q poke, but I think with how this lane has been going, you're definitely going to be wanting to make sure you're stacking your passive, using your heal in order to keep the Ashe poke down. And you just want to be able to keep that consistent, be able to use your E so you can just poke and walk out of bad scenarios. It's just a mistake I see often, or at least what I believe is a mistake often when you're playing Sona. If you're not building tier first, you're just going to have so much worse of a time.
Oh, Corn going in here, though. Pause that thought. Pop the Dominus. Looking for the kill here. Might be able to find it. Draco does have flash, but doesn't have to use it. Good patience by Draco walking out, but I know Corn, he might look for a flash combo here.
Yeah, with how low Ornn's mana is right now, he is probably just going to go for a dive, honestly.
Oh, look at this positioning by Jacob. Super cheeky here. I mean, it's not going to... Oh, great use of Snark to dash out. I don't think there's enough follow-up here. Yeah, Snark did a really nice job getting on the wall, and that's the thing. The Zeri can position aggressively because they have the escapability over that wall. Sona there did a better job of staying back, so even when the Ashe ult came through, was positioned safe enough to where the follow-up was not able to actually happen. Fujer didn't have flash, it did just come up. As soon as I say it though, Sona's back positioning a little too far here. Man, that's a ton of damage.
Yeah.
That's just a bad death, no other way to say it. Oh, what are we doing though? Okay, bad death on that side too. Oh, and that misses. Okay.
Sometimes we like to get a little silly on the bot lane.
Very nice of Tom to help Snark out right there. And it ends up being okay, kind of. But Sona really needs to start positioning a little bit safer, in my opinion. But that's a 20 CS lead for Snark right now. On the Zeri, has the Cole, is sitting very comfortably, although 2 kills on the Tom, no slouch himself either.
Alright, and I mean, off of the death, we did see Sona just run straight top to try to make that Grubs makeup. I mean, they are going to get all 3, so we're going to have a lot more tower pressure just coming from the blue side on the team, which is also going to be scaling into the game. So not your favorite objective, but I mean Drake is still up, so it's not like you're trading, so you still have the chance to hold that. We do also see Udyr invading Xin Zhao right now.
Yeah, just looking for it. Has a nice little farm lead in jungle. Corn does have a farm lead top, and mid is rather even, which frankly, the fact that Cassiopeia is even with Syndra, it's not too hard to farm on Cassiopeia, but I do think Syndra can sometimes play the lane in a way to where Cassiopeia would have to drop. So the fact that Omar is staying very even is impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, and he also has his rod at 10 minutes, which is kind of like that little.
Oh, that's
spot,
great.
Like
yeah.
the latest you, or yeah, like the latest you would want to be able to get it.
Yep.
And be happy with it.
Oh, we have a dive right here, but Drago's gonna get one back. I think Udyr wins this. We'll probably just force out the flash. Although he could follow, but Albert not going to choose to follow with his own flash. That will just be a 1-for-1. Nice job by Draco, making sure Foosier went down there and burned Foosier's flash while still having him die. So good job by Draco. Does lose some farm, but actually, if you look top, is able to just TP back and collect the majority of that wave. So overall, not that bad for the Ornn. Oh, Omar here, though, really mispositioned here. And just gets punished swiftly. Didn't see exactly what he was doing in that river. I'm not sure if he was clearing a ward or what that was, but just could not be in that spot. Loses flash, and yeah, that's going to be a dragon for the side of Metabusters. So that mistake there from Omar does just turn into an objective here. First drag will be going over.
Yep, and right off the bat, we do see, item-wise, we see Black Cleaver out now. We have the Ludens out now. Like, we've got a couple of the items being finished on the side of Metabusters.
You can see from Corn's positioning that he really just wants to fight. Although that stun had already been used, but does dodge. Although Corn doesn't have ultimate here. I think Draco kills even without hitting the ult.
Ooh.
How long on the queue? Might be able to find him? No. Okay, so ultimately missing the R2 there for Draco does allow Corn to live, but Corn got lucky there. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
He got really lucky. I do think he's greeting a little bit, though. He has teleport up, and he's on just such low HP. I mean, one Ornn Q, one Ornn E, even.
Here. Oh, does take a turret shot, though. That's really unfortunate for Draco. The turret shot's going to make the difference and just dies. Yeah.
And I'm just putting my foot in my mouth because I guess I just didn't know better. We are
that's the difference, yeah.
Yeah, we are also seeing like that value that the Bramble is giving to Ornn. Just off of that fight alone, like obviously, if Renekton had ultimate, then I think he would have won that. But you are at least making it so that Renekton can't just run at you, even without ultimate.
Yeah. And
just heal off of you with rage.
Okay, interestingly enough to me, Noam has opted for the Ludens build. Syndra has two main builds. You either go for kind of full burst, probably see a Shadow Flame second here, or you look for more of the burn CDR build. This is a game where I think the burn CDR build would probably be what I would go, just because a lot of health stackers on the enemy team, but has opted for that Ludens. Did get the first kill, so is there pretty quickly. We'll see how much burst he's able to put down.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out. I would agree with you. I would like to see just like the burn build, just because of the order.
Oh, Snark uses the cleanse, but okay, is able to flash out Jeremy. Oh, Thompson flashing in here right into Udyr's face. What can Snark get done here? He's doing a bunch of AOE, but the splash damage. This is massive for Snark. Oh, but Foosier does pick one back up. But that's a 3-for-1. Snark's splash damage did so much work there.
That is 3 kills right onto Zarya, which is not what you want on a hyper carry like her.
We are seeing some more fighting top lane. I love all the scrapping we're getting.
It does look like it's going to be going over to Renekton. Yeah, so there's a lot of scrapping all at once there. Top lane, you have Renekton battling with the Ornn, and in the bot lane, as you just said, we got the 3 kills right onto Zarya, which is just so scary if you are Metabusters, because that is the last champion on the enemy team that you want to be getting fed. I also think you got a little bit of that point that I made earlier, where you had, even though you had the Braum shield up with Zeri ultimate and the lightning going through each champion, unfortunately, like the people who were low ended up just dying anyways, giving Zeri all those kills. So you're
Yeah, I
seeing the
mean,
weakness of Braum kind of coming through there.
yeah, I do think for the most part, Metabusters has played this early game out pretty well. But Snark sitting there on 3-0-1, farming really well, is scary. But, you know, Corn right now, 3-0 himself with a lot of farm, is going to be a problem.
Not real quick. Sorry.
It's not us. I messaged Spiral about it.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but so we did see first turret go down there in the bot lane. Oh, actually, I don't know if that was first. We've actually seen 2 turrets go down. I got a little lost there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Metabusters is first. Yeah, I don't know. Metabusters is starting up the objective, though. Oh, Draco just walking in a little far here. 1v4 at the moment.
Just a little bit of an overstep, but you know, you're playing Ord. But you see the Braum Q coming out with the...
Oh, flash in by... That's big damage from Cassiopeia, though! Oh, Snark picks him up!
Just another kill on Zeri. 2 more kills on Zeri. If it's true that Snark is just an absolutely scary Zeri player, this is just not going to be looking good for Metabusters, because Zeri is just going to make this game a miserable time for them. They're going to really have to make sure they're not stacking up and just letting Zeri just run their game.
Yeah, I don't think Metabusters is playing bad by any means. I actually think they're doing like pretty well. I mean, it's 9-7, but the gold is even. And I do just get nervous for them because with Zeri being so strong, you're going to have to put so much focus onto Zeri. And what will that do? It'll create space for Omar to then operate. Found a really nice ultimate there in that choke point and got a lot of AoE damage down. And if he's able to keep that up, does have the completed Seraph's Embrace now too, so is very, very tanky on the Cassiopeia. And if you're having to put a lot of focus onto blowing up Snark, the Cassiopeia could then potentially run wild or vice versa. But we are going to see they're considering starting the Dragon, haven't chosen to do it yet. They are going to respond to the Rift Herald that was dropped.
Yeah, so going ahead and just giving Drake, we're still kind of posturing around it, kind of playing around. I mean, Xin Zhao was clearing his Krugs or something. I'm not sure what he was doing up there, but he's still getting ready to position around Drake. I mean, we do see a lot of vision control over on Metabuster's side right now, too. And you have those control wards in multiple spots.
Yeah, we don't have a completed item on Sona just yet. You know, opted to get those Swifties, so doesn't have like Moonstone or whatever Sona will choose to go first completed yet. But once that comes through, I think the healing will start to become kind of absurd.
I agree. I mean, with the... Just looking for the for the Corn pick. This is such weird posturing, in my opinion, just because...
Yeah, especially with the Dragon
the
being
Drake
up,
is
like...
up right now. I don't know what's happening. They're fighting in the topside river over Drake or something.
Oh, and you see Noah putting good damage down onto Omar, or excuse me, to Albert. And they are just going to start the Dragon, frankly. Yeah, I think the positioning was kind of weird there from Albert's Inferno, and it's just going to give the Dragon over. Maybe they were choosing not to contest, but it does just ultimately give it over. And, you know, frankly, they did rotate Corn down, and Draco is just going to, you know, push in top, and they do actually pick up the mid turret as well. So, you know, they choose to get the mid turret, push in their lanes, and it is 3 turrets to 1 now for the side of Alberts. And, you know, if you're saying, you know, we just want to scale, give it over the first 2 drags, not the end of the world. You can show up and start trying to collect the next few. Can we tell which dragon it is?
Not yet. It looks like it's probably gonna have to spawn first to know which soul it is. I mean, do we see anything around the map? Do we see any?
If we had objective timers on.
It looks like it's Chem Soul.
Okay.
It looks like the next couple are gonna be Chem Tech Drakes. I think that's more bushes with the flowers and everything.
Okay, not if that's what it is, that's not the end of the world. Not the worst one you could get, or maybe it is. I actually don't even know what the tier list is for those anymore.
I think it is the worst possible soul for you to be stacking up for of. But at the end of the day, soul is still always going to be a net positive for your team.
Is it the Kim one though?
It may be Ocean.
It might be Ocean or Infernal. Which if that's the case, oh god, if it's Ocean Soul.
I actually think it's
let's see.
Ocean.
It is Ocean Soul. It is. Wow. If they're able to secure 3 or 4 of those, oh my God, that would be pretty insane. So they kind of rolled that pretty well, I would think. But at the same time, if MetaBusters is able to just play well and grab the next 2, that could be massive as well. But oh my God, Omar with an insane solo kill onto Noam there.
Yeah, just pushed up a little bit too far and got struck by that bush, the evil little bush when you're playing a mid laner.
That's a misplay by Noam, just not respecting the fact that, Cassiopeia could start looking for those bush cheeses, and that is one of Syndra's kind of weaknesses, is inside lane. If you're not careful, you can get caught out. But, that's usually, that works once a game, usually. In the future, I assume Noam will be, more positioned for that. But, yeah, that's massive, and they are trying to just get the Otacon off it, but they force out Korn's TP, and I assume we'll just choose to back off now. I think you probably should. I mean, Omar is super low, does have TP, but he's super low, doesn't have ultimate. And yeah, Sona could look to heal you some, but I don't see why you'd opt into this. Although they may now feel like they need to start it, push the pace of the game. Draco does have TP. We'll see if they choose to join. And there comes the TP. Look at Snark here getting massive AoE damage down. And that Korn's already dead. They can't walk forward because the miasma's right there. Hoosier goes into the backline, seeing if he can do anything. He's found some damage on the Snark, but that's not going to be enough. Oh my God, he's going to run down. That's a 5 for 0, or excuse me, 5 for 1. But amazing ace by the side of Alberts. Yep. And MetaBusters chose that. Like, we were just, I don't know if they feel like they're getting outscaled. I mean, at a certain point they kind of are, but I don't know if that's where you wanted to, like, just, take your fight, because at this point the game's out of control.
Right, so if there's one area you don't want to be throwing at it, is most definitely Otacon. I mean, I think they had a net positive off of their play that they had there. They had the slight upper hand on Infernos, but starting that Otacon just immediately turns the tide of that, because Otacon just does so much damage and just shreds your resistances, and
yeah, great point.
Just does all these things to you that you don't want when you're starting a team fight. And so,
yeah, you saw the challenge there. Like, they tried to dive forward with Fuzier and Korn, but the issue is, they didn't reach Snark like in a way to where they could one-shot him. So, he's doing a bunch of AoE, and no one else could easily walk forward because Cassiopeia perfectly layered the miasma on the ground. And so it's just so difficult to walk forward, even with Korn being strong, just burns so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just have such a hard time wanting to walk into Inferno's team, especially when you're grouped up, just because of how much AoE damage there is. I mean, there's the miasma, there's Zeri shooting through you, you got Udyr double R coming into your team. Like, there's just too much on the side of Infernos to try to make a play like that and be grouped up like they were.
Snark is now 3 items to Tom's 2, and that includes the Ornn upgraded Infinity Edge. This Zeri is a monster.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I do think as long as Infernos continues playing in the lead, they're just inevitably going to get to the point where they're just going to be winning every single fight possible. I mean, I think your 1 for 5 that you had there is going to turn into an 0 for 5 here in a minute. Obviously, I do think it is still anybody's game. I mean, nobody plays perfectly, especially out in the Scrims zone. So there is still, I do think there is still an angle for a mistake to happen and for MetaBusters to pull their way back into the game. I mean, if I speak from experience, there's one thing about MetaBusters, they love just, they're really good at playing from behind.
And we are going to see an Ornn coming through here, but Jacob actually blocked that one out, so nice job, kind of prevents the engage. Well, Fuzier finds a massive damage, and they actually are on the Snark, but oh, they couldn't get him! And yeah, that's just going to be a wipe. Once Snark can't get, I don't hate that attempt. They flashed forward, but just out of range, and that's a 5 for 0. Quadra kill!
So unfortunately, I think Snark is just a little bit too ahead.
And on top of the
Metabusters-
comp diff at a certain point.
Oh,
not,
yeah.
not comp diff. I think their comp had angles, but we talked about it. It's so difficult to play into the Udyr and the Cassiopeia, and when you have to try to then reach a Zeri, it's just too difficult at this point. And yeah, it's almost a 10k gold, it's like a 9k gold lead right now at 24 minutes. And it was a really close early game, but just completely is blown up here in their face. And I don't know if I see much of a way to come back this time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, there's the only people who really have a kill threat on Zeri at this point in the game are probably going to be Renekton and Xin Zhao, and I don't think they really even have a kill threat. I think they're just the only people who can get onto Zeri at this point, and he's just so way too ahead that they're just going to get melted every time they try.
I mean, it really would be Syndra. Like, Syndra is kind of the potential kill. That's enough damage, but I just haven't really been able to see anything out of Noam this game to like find that angle. And in large part because Snark has such a front line to position behind that Noam can't really ever get in range. And that time hits 2 with the ult there. Really nice ult by Draco. And yeah, that's gonna allow them just to run down Tom, and yeah, that could just be Baron.
So I think we'll see the Baron come out, and I do think it is just an end angle on the side of Inferno's, because I think Zeri and just honestly all of Inferno's is just so ahead at this point that I think they...
Yeah, I mean, 8k gold lead, we would have to see some monumental throws from Alberts here if they're not going to be able to close this one out. I mean, frankly, I just don't see it. The healings come through, the front line is tanky, and as we've said, Snark is just such a demon right now.
Now, of those potential throws mentioned, if Omar does not back off here, I do think that can be set up. But it does look like he's walking away now. They get those Baron recalls in. Waves are already, for the most part, ahead. So I think this is just the angle to either take all of Metabuster's towers and inhibitors, or just to end the game using this Baron.
And we didn't really get to do much kind of pregame because we kind of threw this up right as we were in the middle of draft. But I mean, this is an elimination series in the playoffs. I mean, and I know both these teams, feel like they could make a run. So, this is the first step of that. But I mean, this is a big series right here.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is this lower bracket versus lower bracket? Or is this first loss?
Metabusters,
okay.
Excuse me, Albert Inferno did have QC in that first round. Did get beat pretty handily by QC and dropped down, where Metabusters was waiting. And I know Metabusters felt really confident going in to this matchup. There was some talk that they felt like they deserved the seeding over Albert. I mean, we'd be remiss not to mention that they are without Snow, who has arguably been their best player. But game 1 here, Albert's looking like a completely different team than what we saw last week.
Do you have the Flash Force out on Syndra? We do have Ornult coming out, immediately getting blocked by Brom's shield. But it looks like it may not matter. I mean, we would just be having a little bit of a wall if
we're at the point where the Sona healing is just massive. They do actually find a nice engage onto Sona, but damage just isn't there. Oh my god, Snark damage is crazy. And he's not even going to die. 13, 0, and 10. A second quadra kill. And that's going to be a really nice game 1 for the side of Alberts Inferno. Just great performances across the board. If there was anywhere that was a little bit tough in the early game, I do think Korn played the early game pretty well. But I mean, you got to give somebody a strong champ. And so for Draco to be able to, play it in a way to where, was useful, was frontlining for the team, I do think that was impressive, ultimately into Korn's Renekton. But yeah, I mean, Snark with just an amazing, amazing game. And, that was with, frankly, Jeremy kind of misplaying a little bit in the early game, and it still just did not matter. Like, the bot lane just came online, and they never looked back.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that was really well played on the side of Inferno's. Not to say that Metabusters was playing poorly. I think Metabusters was playing for the most part really well, but I do think they had a couple of rough decisions which ended up costing them the game. I do hope to see a Zeri ban in first phase.
I definitely would. And frankly, I think Fuzier kind of had a rough game. I mean, ends the game 1-7. you definitely need to see a better game out of him for their chance in this series. But I do think, it's difficult if he's being forced to blind pick on 4 there when both jungle and mid are not showing. Because, Xin Zhao is a strong pick and certainly a good blind, but then they just locked in Udyr Cassio, and it's so difficult for him to actually play out.
Yeah, I think if you're playing Xin Zhao in this game and with how the lanes went, it's gonna be real. Yeah, honestly, you're just inevitably going to be dying a lot. And
Yeah.
when your team is just completely behind, I think, you're in general, it's just gonna look like you had a really rough game. But I also think it's just completely inevitable after a certain point.
So we do head into game 2 here. Alberts had side select for game 1. They selected the blue side. Metabusters, after losing game 1, now gains the choice of side, and they themselves have now chosen to go blue side. So we will be seeing flipped swaps or flipped sides here. I'm curious to see what Metabusters chooses to do with that. Definitely want to see a massive draft adaptation. I'll just be honest about it. Metabusters chose to ban Milio, Lulu, and Hui. Now, I understand that. Jeremy's Lulu has drawn a lot of bans in the past. He is great at the champion, but frankly, is Lulu that much worse than Sona? The guy is gonna play an enchanter, and he's gonna do well on it. And I also just don't know who we're banning Hui against. Omar is a great Hui player, do not get me wrong, but in my opinion, the thing that makes Hui so difficult to draft against is when it's a flex pick, and I just don't expect them to put Snark on Hui. I'm not saying he couldn't play it, but we just saw the guy smurf on a hyper carry. I don't think you'd be putting him on it, so I wouldn't even hate them potentially switching all 3 bans. Change it up, do something. Got to come into the second game with a completely different strategy, in my opinion, because it felt like Albert's Inferno had some insanely good draft prep and just executed it perfectly once they got in game.
Yeah, it kind of falls back to that exact reasoning once again. I think Alberts did their homework. I think they sat in call and they said, this is our plan for blue side and this is our plan for red side, and they just executed it perfectly.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really comes down to. Once again, I think if you're going to R3 like a support after you see those first 3 champions, you're definitely going to be wanting to look at something different. It's so much harder I feel like it is just so much harder for Zeri to try to play the game if you have someone like Nautilus trying to just point and click R on him, or you got Rel just holding him in place. But I think Zeri's just allowed to do whatever they want in that game.
Yeah, maybe if you're taking blue side for Metabusters, I'm trying to kind of what would I do if I'm them? Perhaps, it'd be kind of weird, but, maybe they choose to first pick Sona. I've seen Jacob play Sona. It's in one of his most played champs. He can do well on it. And when for a fact that Jeremy is going to play an enchanter, I feel like you could potentially get away with just taking that blind, and you don't have a counter pick to it at that point. And I feel like Sona typically is happy playing into other enchanters because she scales so hard. So maybe that could be an angle.
I agree. I think that is, was I think you said earlier, you're on the spot. I think it's kind of the same argument. You just lock in Sona because your opponent. Both of these players are, for the most part, enchanter players. And so they're just probably going to be locking in another enchanter. And Sona is just always going to be a pick against a majority of enchanters. I think the only one she really has a rougher time into is Seraphine. But other than that, every other enchanter, Sona's just going to end up beating.
We should be getting into draft any moment now. It is 9:18, which is when this next draft is set to start. If I have any other suggestion for Metabusters, you got to hold Fujer's pick, in my opinion. That guy is an X-factor player in the jungle. We've seen the season before where he was just the best jungle in the server. So to me, try to give him some agency. I just think Omar has a wide enough champ pool now, not Omar, Albert, maybe last season, very beginning of this season, had a really limited champ pool, it felt like, kind of had 2-3 picks. He has a big enough champ pool now to where if you blind Fujer, he's going to get a good matchup. And frankly, with having Noam in mid, I think you need Fujer to be on a really comfortable champ. So I'd like to see them try to hold his pick. Just take Noam's pick blind. I think Omar's been an amazing player and can definitely punish you if you blind pick, but I think his picks are kind of known. If it's a good assassin angle, he'll take the Akali and do well. If it's a good Cassiopeia angle, he'll take the Cassiopeia. He'll take Syndra. So to me, I'd like to see Noam pick a little bit earlier, give counter pick to his jungler, and just take something mid lane that you're okay with, Omar counter picking. But that might be my other suggestion to them, because I think that could help out a lot if Fuzier has a more favorable game state and kind of impact.
Absolutely. And kind of like you said, you hope to see just basically a very significant drafting change. Like, I think, like you said, you should just first pick that Sona. I mean, taking that 80 carry. I mean, Corrin is perfectly comfortable blind picking, and so you just give him his champion, and then you can delay your jungle pick and your mid pick for late blue.
Yeah.
Or picking gnome, and so
All right,
then you're also delaying top.
We are getting in a draft here. We will see what MetaBusters chooses to do as far as their bans go. They are going to elect to still ban Lulu, so that first ban does remain the same. Darius still banned out as well. There goes the Zeri. Zeri is off the table, everybody. Take a deep breath. We're going to have something a little bit different here. So we'll see what they choose to leave up, whether that is whether they choose to leave up open the Hui or the Milio from what they banned last time.
Taking a little bit more time to
The Renekton going to come through from Alberts this time. So even though they won that game, deciding, hey, we're not going to allow you to have the Renekton either. And, frankly, I don't hate that idea because Corrin really was the bright spot of that game. So you take that away. We'll see if they choose to then keep. They're going to ban Sona. They have the read.
they already had
they
the
thought
read.
Jacob was going to take it too. But what that does do is it gives Jacob Nami, and it's like, oh, well, hey, now you can't counterpick my Nami with Sona. So, obviously Jacob going back to pure comfort here, loves the champion, and it will most likely be answered by the Milio that Jeremy is hovering. But we do have, already pretty different drafts coming through here.
Yeah, two different enchanters this time. Oh.
And Snark's just hovering another 80 carry that's kind of in that same Zeri vein. Like, to me, Yunara is kind of similar and just gonna blind it here. Says, hey, I'm giving my jungle, I'm giving my solo lanes counter. I'm blinding the Yunara. Tom, you don't have anything that can handle this. We'll see what his answer is. And frankly, I don't really know what you want to go for here.
Yeah, I mean, Yunara has a little, through lane, a little bit harder time into, a range matchup, but Melia completely makes up for that. And so I just don't know what you pick here. I mean, I do think Caitlyn did come to mind, and I think that's really the best choice that you got.
Yeah, I don't hate Caitlyn here. I actually think it can be a pretty good answer. And that's Fuzier Jarvan coming through. Now, it is Fuzier blind picking and giving his solo lanes counter, which I would have liked to see Fuzier, get a later pick. But I will say, for as long as that man has been in the jungle, his Jarvan has been absolutely disgusting. Just an absolute signature champ for him. So going back to something he's really comfortable on. Yeah, Yunara can dash out when she has her ultimate up. So it's not like the most immobile carry, but it's comfort for Fuzier, which I like to see. Draco going to take the Ornn here. Not too sure what Corrin's going to opt for now that, his comfort is really getting banned out. Because to me, Corrin's comfort is like Darius, Renekton, Aatrox, and Ornn, frankly. And if they ban the Aatrox, that's kind of all four either banned or picked. I'm not too sure what he would want here.
I do expect to see, if they're just fully banning out Corrin, they would ban Mundo. I mean, that is not the last of Corrin's champion. I mean, his later picks are going to probably be either Mundo or
I don't know if he has a Mordekaiser in the bag, but we have seen Mordekaisers perform well into Ornns this season, so maybe something like that could make sense.
Yeah, Mordekaiser, I mean, honestly, is a pretty easy champion to pilot too, so I do think it would be also worth just running the champion if possible.
Yeah, and I do think the Cassiopeia ban makes a ton of sense. It's another champion that Jarvan does not want to play against, and it is so comfortable for Omar. You take that away, but we are going to see Omar most likely getting last pick here, and that's a scary prospect. Definitely a really threatening player when given that opportunity to counterpick. And that's going to be Albert taking the Echo, and I love it. Albert is an adopter of the Echo jungle build that Mason has piloted to so much success in the server, which he got from me, by the way. I will keep saying that, but Albert kind of ripped Mason's flow, as he likes to joke, but just piloted it really well too. And I think it's actually a pretty good answer into the Jarvan here, so I like that a lot.
Wait, do you see this at hover? Does look like that's going to be locked in. So obviously that's going to be for Corn, and I am
One's
interested to
fed.
see
Okay.
what Norm's response. Good lord, I'm sorry. Gnome's response to his or what he's just going to be willing to blind. I mean, he has Ziggs, and that's all I really know within his mid champ pool. I am interested to just see what he's going to blind.
Yeah, Noam here. You need AP, obviously.
Yep, and he's just gonna rock the Ziggs, which I think is his comfort mid lane.
Okay. But oh my god, it is an Akali angle. It's an Akali angle
Yep.
for sure for Omar here. Lock it in, dude. Please, I want to see it. I do like Ziggs
Immediately.
though. It has good range. It pairs really well with Jarvan, but man, it can be a punishable champion and
We are
play.
just going to be seeing it.
Woo! And man, Omar's Akali has been so impressive this season. I do think in lane, Ziggs, if positioned well, can do fine into the Akali. The scary part is going to be as you get out of the laning phase. If Ziggs mispositions at all, you have both Echo and Akali diving you. And as someone that's actually played against Albert's Inferno when they were running a very similar comp, I believe it was Kai in mid playing the Akali, but played against a comp where they had the Echo plus Akali. That double dive of Assassin is just so threatening onto your carries, and it's going to make Caitlyn and Ziggs' life really hard this game.
Yeah, both of your carries are really immobile this game, so you are just gonna have Echo and Akali just totally running you down this game if they manage to get a lead. Unlike last game where I felt like it could go either way, I do think this comp is extremely favored in Albert's Inferno side.
I kind of tend to agree with you, but I do think there are angles. Like let's wipe last game out of our memory and let's assume that, it's even. In my opinion, I
Right.
think Caitlyn Nami can get big advantage in bot lane. And if they get big advantage and Yunara's falling behind in farm, falling behind in CS, falling behind in turret plates, which is probably how Caitlyn Nami should play out. I don't know if it will play out that way, but if it plays out like that, I think you then have an angle because you'll be really, really strong. And if, Akali and Echo aren't fed, it could be hard to actually deal with Caitlyn. And at the same time, Set is a carry. Jarvan is a carry. And if they're able to get strong as well, I do think you have a lot of angles. And if you're having to worry about Jarvan and Set, then that does create space for the Ziggs and the Caitlyn to then do a lot of range damage. So I think there are angles for both teams, but there's just so much pressure on Metabusters, once again, in my opinion, to get an early advantage and to get an early lead. And I don't know. Albert's just kind of can once again kind of fall back onto scaling, in my opinion.
Right. And so yeah, I agree. While I do still think it's favored in Albert's Inferno side, I do also agree that there is still an angle for Metabusters to win their game. I mean, it can't be anyone's game. I mean, I won't lie and say I haven't said that exact thing before, or I said this team is extremely favored and they should never lose, and then they end up losing. So it could still be anybody's game. I mean, I'd love for Metabusters to win this next game because I would love to see this series to go
I would
to
love a
3
game 3.
games.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm not gonna say I want Albert's Infernos to lose, but I kind of want them to lose for content. But obviously it is more important to win your games than to provide content. But
Yeah, and I would
know.
really, I would like to see it as well. And I'd really just like to see a great showing out of Metabusters here.
oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we can ignore the elephant in the room, which it's unfortunately that they are having to play without Snow tonight. I mean, Snow, second team jungle, has kind of been, in my opinion, like the heartbeat of this team, has had some insane carry performances. And so they have had to, and it's not even like it's just 1-for-1. They've flipped 3 roles around. So,
Right.
and when you have such a rough game 1, that can be kind of tilting. So I hope that they're able to maintain strong mental, kind of wipe that one out of your mind, come in here in game 2 and kind of give us a good showing. Because I think this team still, even without Snow, has so much potential. Boozer, in the season he was playing jungle, was as good as Snow has been this season, in my opinion. So it's not like you're downgraded super hard across the board, but it's just obviously a team they've not, played the full season with. And I'd like to see if, we can get a positive showing here from them because frankly, Alberts is just looking so scary after that game 1.
Yeah, I agree. I am definitely hoping to see. I think our like lanes that we're going to want to get ahead are going to be Caitlyn. I think we are going to want Jarvan getting the lead. I think Set uh is going to be hopefully getting a lead. We'll see how that goes. I'm not entirely confident in the Ornn Set matchup. I'm not sure how that looks for either player.
I feel like it's probably kind of similar to last game where the Set can do some damage into the Ornn 1v1, but I'm not sure you're going to get him to a point to where it's like you've taken Ornn out of the game. Like I thought Draco did a good job of, fell behind in some CS, but like, where the massive punishes were attempted, they did not come through. Like when they
Right.
tried to go for that dive on that stacked wave, Draco traded 1-for-1 and then got the TP back and collect farm. So maybe if you're able to like make those plays work, you can actually punish the Ornn enough to where it then becomes a big enough hole for their team to where it can become like super hard to pilot in the later part of the game. But if Draco's able to just, minimize loss again, which is really important to do sometimes when you are just like taking blind Ornn, then it could be challenging for Set. What Set can also do this game is potentially play to peel his carries. If he doesn't want to just send it into backline, Set can be really annoying for divers like Echo and Akali if he's playing to peel the Caitlyn or to peel the Zig. So a lot of creativity in how Corn could choose to play this one out. But I do think if Metabusters is going to win this game, we will see Set have a great game.
Right, I agree. And I do think there is also the point to be made where a difference between like Renekton and Set being locked in here is Set. Even if Ornn does kind of just mitigate the lane and plays into the mid late game, Set only has Ornn to really look out for his ultimates. Like Ornn is really their only front line this game. And so if Set is able to land like Ornn straight onto that Yanara, straight onto that Melio, he could just absolutely eviscerate them from the planet Earth. Like, so I
Yeah.
do think there is there is a lot of angles, especially like on Set's hands, where he could just totally change how the game works. It's like he can choose to peel his carries, and that could work out really well, or he could land just an absolutely massive Ornn into the Albert's Inferno side and just win a team fight just off of that alone. And so I do think at least there are a lot of eyes onto Set this game, and I do think there are a lot of eyes on the Jarvan this game. I am definitely also interested to see how Jarvan's going to perform into this enemy teaming, and I think Ornn can just destroy Jarvan ultimate. I think he doesn't get very much value out of his ultimate this game because of minus the damage, just because of the fact that they all can escape his ultimate so easily. I mean, Echo can ult out, he can E out, Akali just dashing around everywhere. You got Yanara who can just dash out of his ultimate while ulting. You got Ornn who can just destroy his wall. I think this is a hard game to play Jarvan in, honestly. But so I'm definitely interested to see how he chooses to play the game out.
I will say I just love seeing Echo, and I personally think the kind of Bruiser build is really fun. But it does have a weakness in my opinion, and it's that it's so much stronger when you're ahead of the pace of the game. So
Right.
And Jarvan is very strong in the early game, obviously. So I think if Future could leverage some advantage, and if Albert falls behind on the pick, I think it's a lot less threatening when you go that kind of Bruiser rebuild. And if you're ahead, you feel unkillable and you still do a lot of damage. If you're behind, you do mid damage and you're like kind of killable. So maybe that's an angle here. If we're saying that Caitlyn should get a lead, and Jarvan can then find a lead. And, hey, Omar chose to go Ignite plus Electrocute. So, if he's able to get punished in the early game, he doesn't have Teleport. So, potentially, if it goes as perfect as it could for for Metabusters, you could end up with leads in kind of all three lanes. And then at that point, maybe their comp is, we see the angle for them to kind of have a really clean game.
Yep, absolutely. I just think it's going to fall under the same thing. The player to watch out for is going to be Snark. You want to keep him from getting kills, because if Yanara ends up getting ahead this game, Melio is just going to provide so much of support for that. I think it's going to be extremely hard to kill Yanara if she ends up getting ahead. since Amelia's just gonna be giving her that range, and she's just gonna be able to press her Q button and just obliterate your team, as Yunara does whenever she gets the lead. So you're just gonna have to really make sure, like, I think if you're able to get a lead in top jungle, then you're probably happy just mitigating the bot lane. But I think the last thing you want right in this game is to have Yunara get ahead.
Yeah, that would be the worst thing in my mind, is if Caitlyn like somehow then falls behind the Yunara. At that point, I think the game would probably be cooked. But that should not happen. Definitely expect Caitlyn Nami to have a lot of dominance in this lane. And I mean, Jacob is an excellent Nami player. So I do expect him to get some advantage.
I will mention, I do also question, not Fujer's decision, but Nautical Bina's choice to path towards the top side. I don't think there's really too much benefit you get out of ganking Set really at any point in the game. I think if you're looking at this game, you're saying, I want my Yunara to get fed, so I think I'm just going to run bot side and try, or myself to get fed since he's doing his Bruiser Echo. And so I think, like, if you're, sorry, what is, his name? I'm totally drawing a blank right now.
Albert?
Albert, yes. So I think if you're Albert, you're going to want to just path bot side and try to get the kills on bot lane on either yourself or Yunara.
Yeah, I definitely kind of see what you're saying. It might be kind of hard to gank Caitlyn, even with them pushed up. There's not really any gank setup coming from Milio, coming from Yunara. And so if they have like any kind of warding, you're probably always able to run away. Like Echo definitely can gank well, but it's a lot of pressure on you to land the W. And actually finds a really nice trade onto Korn. Does chunk him down. Choosing to go back in. Feeling really confident here on the Echo. Oh, that W is going to be massive.
Oh.
And that's why you pass top. Okay. It ends up being a 1-for-1, so I think ultimately it's kind of okay, but Albert played the Echo really nicely there, I thought. That W was massive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I see just, you wanted to prove me wrong. And so, and I'm okay with that.
If I do have one critique of Albert, though, we got to have the confidence to buy a Dark Seal, in my opinion. But I do think that's also, I actually think that's what makes this build the most overpowered, is if you were so strong that you can eventually upgrade into like a Magi Soul Stealer, because at that point you're bruisery, you're hard to kill, and the stacked book, gives you the AP to then still be a carry. But is just going to rush the Leandries here, which is a really strong power spike when you do go this build. So I do get that too.
Yep, it does look like he is just running straight bot to hover. We do also see Jarvan there as well, though. So I'm curious to see if they are going to choose to have a little bit of a scuffle here.
Yeah, junglers kind of just matching each other right now. And you saw that Albert look for something there. But, as I said, it's just Echo running at a straight line at Caitlyn and Nami is not really going to work out that well.
Right.
Oh, camera takes us away immediately, but Draco living on 1 HP there. Both top laners actually really, really low.
So close.
Critically, though, Set does still have the teleport. Draco's going to have to back and walk back to lane here.
It looks like he's going to try to maintain that pressure by pushing this lane, and Ornn is just going to choose it back anyways, which I do think is the right decision. Set is going to be able to get this lane, and he may even choose to keep his TP and just walk back to lane if this crashes on your tower. You do have the first set of items coming out towards the bot side, and Stark is going to choose to go ahead and build Cole again. Just like the previous game, looking for that, kind of just scaling into the game and hoping that he picks up kills along the way. And we do have a serrated Dirk, so it looks like he's going to be Collector first on Caitlyn, which I believe, is that what she does right now?
I don't think it's mandatory, and I definitely don't think they do that every time.
Okay.
But I don't know enough to say really opine on if that's the right choice or not.
Oh, we do have another gank topside.
You gotta be careful here though. Echo does not have 6.
Yep.
Oh!
He's gonna have the Set Flash ultimate coming out. He's got that W, and that's just gonna be Ornn going down. You did kind of see some of that, what I was mentioning earlier, where Jarvan is gonna ult Ornn, and Ornn is just going to eat the wall and try walking away. I mean, if Ornn had flash there, that would have been an escape. That was a really good flash ultimate coming out of Korn, though. Just securing that kill and making sure he pulls himself more into a lead.
Yeah, that's really important there, and I think that was kind of the first misstep by Albert this game. You know, I don't know if they didn't expect Fuzier to have 6 there, but when the Echo doesn't have 6, you don't really want to be going into that fight, and yeah, Korn securing a kill there is pretty massive.
I think this lane is going to get more volatile for Ornn as time goes on.
Well, what do we think about? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but what do we think about Caitlyn already rotating up to mid here?
You know, I didn't even notice that.
We're duo laning with Akali right now, and we have Ziggs matching Yunara, a lone bot. Albert, you do not want to go in on that one. He may just get one shot here.
Ooh.
Does have flash, probably can live. May need to use it though.
Oh no! I think Omar just tried to BM Caitlyn a little bit and went incredibly south. What? Oh no! What was that?
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. That's 3 kills over Feats of Warfare.
Right?
Albert playing a little loose here after a really nice first game.
If Ornn is coming out, and I do think this is currently in the favor of Infernos. I think they're going to.
Omar's arrived, and he can clean this up. That's a double kill for the Akali. That's massive. And using Shroud to buy so much time. Look at that damage he's getting down on the Tom. Has flash here as well if he wants to continue the play. Oh, tried to find the flash E, but Shuriken flip, but did not land it. Tom is lucky that did not hit. But Omar really helping his team out there. They needed that.
Wait, do you have the set TP coming out top? They're looking just TPing straight into the middle of the enemy team, running at them when there's 4 of them there. This is kind of crazy, but I don't know. I didn't really see what was happening around that Herald. Why was Nami and who else was back there? It was Nami and
they were looking for a pick onto the Ornn was what happened.
Oh, okay.
Man, Omar's still just forcing out Fuzier's flash. The Akali is so threatening right now, and it really hasn't even spent that gold yet. Okay, they are going to fix their lane assignments and have Caitlyn go back bot.
Yeah, I think that's just what happened there is the exact opposite of what you want to be happening when you're meta busters. I think they were in a really good spot at the moment, and you had 1 death on set and kills in each lane and a little bit of a lead, and now it's kind of been pushed back to be a little bit closer to being even. I mean, meta busters is still slightly ahead in gold, but you do have kills just straight onto Akali, which is the last thing that you want in this game, because once again, your carries, if Akali is able to just dive your Caitlyn and your Ziggs and just one-shot them, it's not going to be good for your overall game.
Yeah, and it looks like Omar, I always say Omar for Albert and Albert for Omar, but Omar is going for the just raw burst, not even considering a rocket belt or anything, just going straight up burst. Will be doing so much damage.
Yeah, he's just going to be exploding Meta Busters carries here in a minute.
And I still think one of the best games we've seen all season from an individual player was Omar in that Akali game that I believe was against 1T, your team, when he was just absurd on the champ. He's so good at it.
Absolutely rocking the game, yes. I will talk about that game. But yeah, no, he did play a very important role in the game. He did just basically run. He was just the X factor that match, so he is capable of doing it, and we don't. If you're meta busters, you don't want him to do that again. So we definitely just want to try to avoid getting even more kills on Akali in the upcoming fights.
Yeah, they're getting some nice damage down onto Jeremy ahead of the. Well, there's not even an objective up right now, so just kind of getting some nice damage down onto him. You know, the nice thing about Ziggs, though, is you get to a certain point where he can wave clear from such range that he never actually walk up into Akali's, ability to trade onto him. It only becomes hard if he then roams into the river or starts looking for team fights in the later game.
Yep.
Draco may be in trouble here. Korn is low health, but he has flash, he has ult.
Oh, dude. If I was Corrin there, I totally would have flash ulted.
I think his W. Like flat put him out of the turret. Ooh, that would be interesting.
Auto him there. Okay.
He's gonna flash. I think as long as Draco doesn't just walk up and get traded here, it's a good play. And doesn't even have time to get the W off. Oh,
A little bit of a blind EQ. Unfortunately, just didn't hit.
yeah. And does ultimately get Draco's flash, but it was a nice W parallel convergence by the Echo there to peel his top laner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Echo ended up saving Ornn from Set at the end of that play. Now with that said, I think even with Set being a little bit behind, he just finished his item and he still is going to have his value of being able to ultimate the Ornn into the enemy team. So I don't think Set is really out of the game. I know his W is always going to do a ton of damage if he's landing a center. And I think if he could land a good ult into his E into a W, it's just like, it'd be totally crazy, even if he's like 1 in 10.
Yeah, I mean, he does like playing against health stackers, and Echo is also stacking health. Oh, but this might actually be the solo kill. Gnome was pushed up really far here, and that's the danger, though. If you push that far up, you can get caught out in the long lane, and didn't even flash. That's a solo kill for Omar. That's massive for the Akali. Should be able to get Draco here since she used the flash on the previous gank.
This is going to be a little bit of a return gank. We do have Yenara coming out, so there's going to be a lot of... Oh, let's see, it's
oh, that Timmy flashes the bubble!
Ooh.
Oh, there is a TP behind. It's a Ziggs TP, though I don't know if he'll actually be able to do anything.
It was really well
also,
played.
Echo's here. No one has to be careful if he face checks Echo.
It looks like...
Oh, that
just barely going to be able to get out of that. Yeah.
But that's actually crazy, though. He TP's bot, doesn't really get anything but losing his flash. And as you look right now, Omar's just free hitting the mid turret, and they kicked the died.
Yeah.
That's a disaster for MetaBusters.
It's absolutely not what you want. I mean, you have Yenara now in the lead.
Oh, and it's such an easy dive. Echo has R. Oh, doesn't use it? Oh. Okay.
Well, Yenara gets executed, so at least you don't lose the bounty there, but...
what should have been a really easy dive, Albert did do what all Echo players have done, which is not press R, and that does ultimately help out MetaBusters a little bit. But still, overall, this is going pretty well for Albert's team.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing to note too. Is I noticed what happened there in the bot lane is Yenara is using ultimate. If you're the opposing bot lane, you just walk away. That character gets like all of her power from that ability alone. Like when she has R up, she is just always going to beat you up.
You're right.
And so I noticed they're kind of still trying to trade. Where it said you definitely would have wanted to just let Yenara's ultimate wear out and then re-pressure the lane, just because of how much power she gets from that ability alone. If you're like the opposing bot lane, you let that expire and then you just put out all your pressure because now she's weak.
Yeah, great point.
But it said she ended up just benefiting off of using R from such a distance. Ended up getting her 2 kills.
We do still have a slight gold lead in the favor of MetaBusters with a 500 gold lead. I'd like to see them find like a nice kind of combo team play. We haven't seen like the Ziggs plus Jarvan combo yet, where Jarvan gets a nice ultimate and Ziggs follows that up with the Mega Inferno bomb. And while Snark is without flash, maybe you could look for some type of play onto him.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if they can take advantage of that.
But they're kind of awkwardly positioned on the map right now. There's really no one in bot lane. And I believe Omar just started up the dragon himself, and the teams may just choose to trade drag for Rift Herald.
It does look like it's going to just be a trade. Definitely looking at just getting that mid turret if possible. It looks like that's not going to be possible, though.
Yeah, but Korn's just spending so much time kind of just standing around mid, is going to try to walk back bot now, but I don't think they expect Albert to be behind them here.
We do have the Echo W
Caitlin's just so far up. Although, here's Jarvan.
And once again, you want to try avoiding... Oh!
And Albert just got one shot again! The Echo R's 2 times in a row has not been able to get his ultimate off.
Really a lot, like...
Hoosier has ult here, it's a massive cataclysm!
Ooh.
But watch Snark, Snark's untouched! And it's ultimately a 2-for-1?
Yeah, looks like that's how it's going to end. I mean, if you're set, you are perfectly happy with that play. I mean, you got Ornn, you got Echo. I'm not sure who got the kills. It looks like Set.
I believe Set got the Echo kill, yeah.
So we're pulling Set kind of back into the game. I mean, I do think later on in the game you are going to want to pressure Snark a lot more, just because of the fact that if he is free hitting, it's just going to be...
What? Omar just found a one-shot!
And that's Nami dead. And that's Caitlyn dead.
Oh!
Looks like he's just really going to be able to get out of that.
Tom had barrier there too and just didn't expect the burns. Dude, this guy's Akali is nasty. Oh my goodness. But
yeah, that barrier definitely would have made the difference. I mean, that would have been a shutdown right onto Caitlyn.
Yeah.
It's a little bit unfortunate, but...
That really is unfortunate for Tom there. And the gold lead is even now. So it was 500 metabusters. Now it's basically an even game state. And, you know, Omar's getting really close to that second item, the Shadow Flame. Is looking so scary. You know, Fuzier is having himself a nice game. And as you mentioned, Korn is still threatening. But I think, you know, the main thing for Albert's here, if you want to say, like, okay, how do you close this game out cleanly because both your carriers are doing really well, Albert just needs to chill out a tiny bit.
Yeah.
2 deaths in a row without being able to use the Echo Ultimate is really unfortunate.
Although, one other note is that Yunara's 1 death is an execute, and Yunara also has just finished Hurricane, and so that's kind of a huge power spike for Yunara. Just because of how her Q works with the item. I mean, she's just going to be pumping out so much damage. I mean, that's 4 kills. Once again, the last champion on the enemy team, you don't want to be getting.
Yeah, I mean, and Snark's just one of those, like, just kind of quintessential AD carry players. Like, he farms up, he shows up to where he needs to be, and he picks up kills when he can get them, and then he gets gold and becomes pretty unstoppable and kind of on pace to do what he did last game right now. And it's going to be hard to actually shut him down.
Right.
Yo, no one's looking for a solo kill here.
Does look like no.
Oh! Oh, it burns both of Snark's summoners there for him to live. Honestly, pretty well played by Noam.
Yeah.
Snark maybe biting off a little bit more than he could chew there right as I started talking him up.
We're gonna have the flash come out from Ornn, the flash and the ultimate. But it looks like she is just gonna be able to get away.
But they are just gonna take the objective here. You know, they see all these members down bot lane, and you know, it's a base turret for Otacon trade. You know, not even gonna be able to grab the inhibitor. Not even sure you want it down right now, but yeah, it's base turret for Otacon.
I mean, that's gonna maintain pressure on the bot side. I mean, if they're not constantly like catching it, then it does kind of give Metabusters a little bit of a lead, but obviously trading for Otacon is probably not all that worth it. Well, you know, you can get some benefit out of it.
Yeah, and Omar has the completed Shadow Flame now. So there's some discussion in chat. It's kind of this, you know, seems to be kind of an arising build, but it's just straight burst. I mean, has the ignite, has the electrocute, just has straight raw damage. Like, man, next time Omar gets onto either Ziggs, Caitlyn, or Nami, just watch out.
They're just gonna vanish. To be a little magic trick. Ooh.
Oh, Fuzier kind of blind EQ there, kind of sniffed him out a little bit. But, oh my god, he's traveling the length of the map right there with the E2 there on the Akali, and does just ultimately blow Fuzier's flash.
Really bold EQ. I mean, you want to be so careful right now with Akali's positioning. I mean, honestly,
Draco
as
gotta
soon
be a
as
little
he can
careful
get
here
his R
though.
off-
Yeah, Draco is full armor right now, so if if no one gets to hit Draco like that, she can die.
Do you have another really good EQ going out from Jarvan?
Omar did a nice job there of just using the shroud to then get over the wall, but I mean, look at Draco's health bar. You kind of got to be careful here because Set has everything up if they see the fight.
Oh, but Akali.
Watch Omar in the backline though. On
Wide
Caitlyn,
access to the
one
backline.
shot. They do get Snark on the other side, but Omar's living on 1 HP. The Milio healing's insane, and it gets them both.
Okay, but we do get Drake on the side of Metabusters. Wow, what a split fight.
That was a crazy fight. Oh my, honestly, I thought that was really well played by Fuzier and Korn. They did such a good job getting onto Snark and killing Draco off, but at the same time, Omar's just going beast mode in their own backline. You know, and credit to Jeremy there too. You know, Akali definitely would have went down in trade there if not for, you know, the Milio shielding, the Milio healing. Made a big difference there, but I mean, just, I don't know how you're supposed to play this out if you're Tom. Like, Akali's just on you.
Yeah, I mean, really the best thing you could do is, yeah, there's not really a best thing to be done. Honestly, I mean, Akali can just one-shot Tom right now and Ziggs. And so, if Omar can ever get onto that backline like he just did, just free access, then they're pretty much guaranteed to get all three of the backline. Just with how much damage that he does, especially when you have Jarvan set like going into the enemy team, it's just free backline access this game, and I mean it's really on the positioning of Caitlyn, really on Nami landing his abilities in order to make sure that Akali can't play the game.
Without a doubt.
Itemization wise, we do see the Black Cleaver coming out on set to try to whittle down some of Ornn's armor that she's got going on.
You know, Metabusters does still have a gold lead here, and a 1.5k gold lead's not insignificant. But that's a one shot, and he's gonna keep going. Does step on a trap though. Gotta be a little bit careful here. Mega Inferno Bomb does a lot of damage. Jarvan's going in. Has the Cataclysm if he can find it, but with Nami getting one shot, you just can't really commit to that play completely.
Right. And yeah, kind of like you mentioned, Akali has so much burst right now, but that doesn't mean Akali is immortal. So you still have to be careful. And it does look like it's Albert is just going to get caught out, and
yeah, Akali is
on the
far.
other side once again.
It's a good point by you. You know, with that full burst build, you are very, very squishy in your own right. So it does have to be a little bit careful there, but you know, did not go down. But, you know, they do pick off the Echo, and this may just be Baron, which would be absolutely massive for Metabusters if they're able to secure this. Omar without ultimate's kind of limited in what he can do, even though they are low. Snark has flash, though, and no ult, but Snark does have flash. Oh, it just gets popped! Omar with the flash in, gets set ulted. Jeremy's doing so much here, though. And ultimately, I do believe that's just going to be a trade of kills, but they get them off the Baron, which is the most critical part.
Right.
Nice job by Fuzier, though, actually picking up Snark. Positioned really aggressively on the Yunara. Did flash the Jarvan, EQ, but got low enough that the Jarvan auto attack still came through to clean him up.
Yeah, I would like to say that Fuzier is just such a threat this game. That was his first death, and he's been doing a really good job at making sure that Yunara is not free hitting this game. Even with what had been going on, I mean, he's been having such close fights. He's been losing so much HP, but he's just barely been being able to get out. And obviously, he died this time, but
no, Fuzier is playing an amazing game.
Really well.
It has 11 out of 12 kill participation on the Jarvan, which is just massive. When no one else has more than 8, on the team. You know, Omar, really
Omar.
feeling aggressive here, but just gonna kind of do some damage. Does now have the Seeker's arm guard on the Akali, does give him some survivability here. Now, I will say, the one thing about, anytime you build Zanyas or Seekers against a Caitlyn, if you use it at the wrong time and you just get a trap set under you, it can kind of actually hurt you. So do have to watch out for that. If Tom's able to like land a trap under him, that could set Omar up to actually get, popped.
And with Baron still up, a lot of Inferno side is on bot side right now.
But I mean, we just have such a banger game here. And this was exactly what we wanted from Metabusters. That was a rough game one. They have bounced back so nicely here. I mean, we're 27 minutes in with a completely even game, basically. Are going to choose to start the Baron back up. Ornn, no TP, so is walking up. Ziggs has it, but looks like they are just going to walk off of the Baron, ultimately.
Yeah, I'm glad they chose to do that, because I did feel like that would have been a game ender had they kept doing that.
Yeah, I do think it's really hard to start an objective, if the Albert's Inferno comp is full health. Because if you're focused on objective and you're losing some health to that, it gives the double dive of Echo and Akali such an easy angle onto you because you're just standing there on the objective.
Right. I mean, I guess I can see the angle that they're trying to go for. They're trying to trade the Drake for the Baron. They are obviously ahead of Drakes right now because of that previous fight. So I do see what they're trying to go for there.
Yeah, Omar and Snark without flashes here is pretty massive. So, I mean, I do think this is a good time for Metabusters to continue to be aggressive.
Right. But once again, this is a full 5v5, so if Zed manages to get a really good ultimate in this match, especially if, like...
Watch Omar on the side. Watch Omar on the side. They do have a ward that'll spot him out.
Nami bubble.
Omar's onto the backline here. Just one-shots Tom. The Fusion's on him. Ornn doing his own work in the backline himself, but is going to go down. Omar is somehow still alive.
It does look like Caitlin's going to go down.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to play this game if you're Tom right now. Like, use his flash, use his barrier, still gets one shot. Jarvan is trying to peel you. What are you supposed to do? Omar is just going beast mode. I thought Korn tried his best, but literally Omar is doing so much work that Fusion can't follow Korn up. So then it's just a 1v4 with Set.
Yeah, I definitely think at this point of the game, if you're Jarvan, you probably can't peel Caitlyn, so you might as well just try to beat him up. But see how they're gonna be able to play around this Baron. I mean, Akali is gonna be back into the game, but we also have Melio really low, Echo really low without.
Oh, good damage by Noam. They may be doing a little more than they should here. Watch Snark though.
Oh, but Omar is just gonna have free access to that backline again.
Oh, it looked kind of good once Noam found that initial kill, but Snark just untouched and Omar just legendary this game. And that's just Baron, and what was an extremely close game is, what was an extremely close game is now really going to kind of lean into Albert's favor. 3K gold lead already. Once the Baron completes, it's going to go up even further, and yeah, it's about a 5K, 4K gold lead now actually, and man,
yeah.
Omar's on a different level right now. I don't know any other way to put it. To be deathless in this game while doing this much damage, while getting this many kills, it's as good of a performance as we've seen from anybody this season. Once again on this pick.
Yeah, I definitely think if we were planning on blocking in Ziggs or anything, this is kind of hindsight 2020, but it definitely probably would have been worth keeping Cassio up and just banning the Akali instead, because we do know this is a pick that Omar plays. And I kind of get free shot by Yannara. Goodbye, Tom.
Yeah, the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit. I do kind of agree with you. I think the Cassiopeia ban makes sense because it would make Jarvan's life kind of hard, and Fusion has had a great game. But yeah, if you're blinding Ziggs, it probably would make sense to ban Akali, and then yeah, Cassiopeia is hard for Jarvan, but if he can just get the Cataclysm onto Cassiopeia and then Ziggs throws damage over the top, there is an angle there, but they are just pushing with the Baron here. We'll see if Metabusters is able to do anything. Korn is trying his best, but Fusion's just already dead.
Yeah, I don't know if that's game, but I do think
I am
going to be inhib loss, and I mean, if they keep it up, then
they do still have really good wave clear here with the Zig, so I don't think they're going to be able to push for more just yet, but I mean, they are just firmly in control of this game now. It was dead even at 25, 26 minutes, and now it's blown open into a 7K gold lead, so it just...
Yeah, you just got all the gold on Akali. Like, Akali just one-shots your whole backline. You got Yanara now, who's in the game 4 items. I mean...
And I mean...
It's just...
I do think also Jeremy's a bit of like, you know, he's playing Milio, so you don't always see the impact as obviously, but I think the Milio has been so massive this game as well as the Akali.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think Milio just complements Inara so well.
Definitely.
And I mean, even Milio just saving Akali on a couple of occasions too. I think you've gotten so much value out of Milio this game.
Man, and Omar's he's so confident right now. You see that positioning on the side. I mean, if you try to, contest the main group at all, he's just going to immediately dive onto your backline. It just becomes so difficult to decide what to do here. If you're Metabusters, you have to make a stand at some point, but nothing really looks like a good angle.
Right.
And I cannot stop heaping praise on Omar here. I mean, just such an insane Akali game. And I just love to see it for the guy. I mean, joined the server last season, had some great performances, don't get me wrong, but has just hit an entirely different level here this season. And I mean, just you love to see that pay off. Snark going really aggressive here, has the damage.
It's zombie bubbled.
Yeah, the bubble is massive there. You can kind of wait the Yunara ult out now, and that will slow the engage. Metabusters doing their best to hold on here.
Yeah, that's probably just going to be Drake going right over to Inferno side. I mean, I think Inferno is just... this game is probably just a wrap. Not to call it so soon, but I think with the lead that they have now, and after that Baron play, it's just... I just don't think you can play anymore if you're Metabusters.
Yeah, it does feel pretty hard. You're kind of hoping that Omar makes a mistake this game, that he overextends a little bit, and maybe you can find a shutdown and turn that into an objective. But when you're this far behind, you'd kind of need it to happen multiple times in a row.
Right. And unfortunately, Caitlyn has been repeating the same magic trick all game this game. I mean, a little bit of a gray screen, but really, what can you do? It's just... So you're basically permanently down a player just because Caitlyn is pretty behind and doesn't really get to exist on the Rift. I mean, you saw earlier, Snark literally 3-shot Caitlyn. And I think he got 2 autos in and then pressed W while ulting and just... It's like, bye-bye, Caitlyn. And then I don't think we even need to say what Akali's been doing.
No, you're right on. They may choose to just kind of look for a dive here at some point. Ornn is not here, so you want to be a little bit careful while it's 5 versus 4, but those super waves are going to be crashing in about 15 seconds in those other lanes. Without Baron, though, Ziggs does continue to be able to clear waves pretty easily. And you do have a trap line, very threatening as well, but Fujer going in there just walks out. But, I mean, this is their season on the line. Let's not forget it. This is Metabusters' season on the line here, and this team had such, high aspirations.
Right.
You've got to find a miracle here if you want to hold on. Big damage off the trap.
They do have the World coming out. They are fighting under tower.
Omar's in the back line, though.
They do have Omar just ulting straight in the back line, but he's going to take
He's getting kind of low.
Damage. It looks like he
is
going to die. Oh, he has Anya still.
He has Anya's. But Caitlyn does pick him up. Omar is dead. But can they finish off Snark?
It may not matter, though, if Snark keeps playing, but they do manage to finish off Snark.
Tom still is alive. Can he find any kind of an angle here? It's 2v3. There are no carries left except for the Echo, but with the waves crashing, Tom has to do something right now if they're going to hold on. Albert's just on the... Albert has ultimate and he's just on the Nexus. I don't know if you're able to do anything here.
You got the Caitlyn coming out.
It's a nice bubble. But,
Yeah, they are
and
still
that's
just going to be able to end the game.
Wow.
And that's the...
That's a 2-0 for Albert's Infernos, and they move
Yep.
on, and that's MetaBuster's season just over.
Yep.
Dang.
Such a close game, but both games
It,
kind
it was
of
it was
fell
really
around.
close until it wasn't. Like I thought that was a much improved game for MetaBusters, but I mean Omar just went beast mode. Like I don't really know what else to say. Like I mean that was just an absurd game, and I mean just but credit to Albert's Inferno too. That was a really tough 0-2 they had against QC. That could be really disheartening and a really like disappointing way to lose. Clearly they just came into this second week with a completely fresh mental here. And I mean, just looked like the team that they had looked like on that latter half of the season. And they have to just be feeling so confident as they move into the next round. So, just credit to them, really great stuff. And yeah, I mean, the carries just played such a nice series between, Omar and Albert. And not to say that, Omar and Snark, not to say that Draco, Albert, and, Jeremy did not have great games themselves. They certainly did. But I mean, they were obviously assigned with the, we're going to support our carries this game. And when your carries are playing like that, you see why you go that route.
Right. And so, do you want to go ahead and do MVPs, or do you want to do our little interview first?
Well, to me, I think it's pretty obvious Snark MVP game 1 on the Zeri and Omar MVP game 2. Like,
I guess there's not really much of a conversation there. Never mind.
I would love to get an interview, though, if we could drag. I'd love to talk to Omar, frankly, after that game right there. If you want to do an interview.
Yeah. Is Omar good with an interview?
I'd say you just drag him.
He's still in there, so I'm gonna drag him in here.
I can.
Omar, congratulations on the 2-0. How are you feeling?
Oh, thank you. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little disrespected with the Ziggs mid pick. I'm not gonna lie.
Just leave it. Just taking that blind. You feel like that's a little disrespectful?
You know what it is. The thing with my team comp is that we have 2 really good ADCs, and I feel like they always focus them. So I kind of get to do whatever I want, as long as what I want is not to play Hwei.
They were not going to give you that one at Div Pier.
I'm a Hwei merchant. I can't even blame them.
I don't know. At a certain point, the Akali's looking so scary. I mean, I'm so surprised that it got all the way to R5 there. It felt like to me, you drafted really well both games. Thought it was a great Cassiopeia angle, a great Akali angle, and just performed really well. I mean, I don't really. I can praise on you all night. Like, that was just great.
I have to give credit because so Teddy, I was gonna give credit to Teddy, and he's glazing himself in the chat. So never mind. Yeah, you're right. We did it. No help. Fuck my.
All on your own.
Yeah, he can go study law texts, and the Congress is falling apart anyway. Who cares? Teddy gets all credit for like planning the draft. Like he knew exactly what we wanted, and I mean, I want to say they adapted to us in the second game, but I'm not confident they did. But Teddy was ready, so
yeah, I think
appreciate it.
I mean, if Teddy was doing solo draft, I think he did a fantastic job. I think running with like how your teammates went. I mean, I was saying it in the very first game. I said I think you guys really did your homework. I mean, you said we're gonna first pick Sona, and there's nothing that Jacob's gonna be able to do about it. I think you were right.
Sona merchant.
If it was all Teddy, then Teddy did a very good job drafting.
Yeah, it's our team's what is this, second season, first season? I don't even know what it is. We're relatively new.
Season.
We just be stealing ideas. I'm sure Mason's somewhere in the chat mad that Albert gets to play Echo.
And Udyr.
And Udyr. Right. Jeremy's stealing the Sona. Don't show us how to play once, or we'll just copy it.
No, I mean, obviously it's a different level opponent than what you saw last week, but is there anything you felt like your team really improved on between last week and now?
Well, I don't think we had much of an advantage ever against QC like during the game, but I think we were this time especially very good at keeping our lead. Give or take, maybe I went a little hard one way or another. For the most part, we weren't really giving up anything once we had the lead. I think in the second game, we got a little rocky with getting objectives. But honestly, considering how when we first started playing this season, people would get like 3 free dragons by the time, we finished picking, I don't know, our noses or whatever. It's like, I think we've gotten a lot responsive. I also have to give a shout out to Albert because that boy is running a fever.
Oh wow, it's flu game, Michael Jordan flu game from Albert here.
Yeah.
Shout out Albert.
He is infirm, and he actually left call immediately to go to bed. I don't know if you noticed in the end there, he was hitting that Nexus like his life depended on it.
He was ready to get out. It did look like it.
Get me out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got to give him credit because we none of our subs were available today. So
Right.
That's big time out of him. He did have a great performance as well. How are you feeling as you move towards your next matchup, going into your, you survive and advance. Right now, it's lose, go home, win, keep playing. How are you feeling going to the next?
I don't know if it was Albert or Teddy, but they told me that if we win this game, I get to face my goat in the mid lane. So I'm happy.
I'm looking forward
regardless of the outcome, that's what I wanted because I missed you during the actual season because I think I had like a class or something, school, whatever. I'm in PhD jail sometimes, but I'm glad we get to run it back. I'll make sure Kai isn't mid.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Not Kai's no slouch, but Kai got the better of us. So, but it is always fun to play against you, Omar. So I am looking forward to that without a doubt. I do think that will be an amazing series. I think both teams, especially your team, playing just so well right now. Bean, any other questions for Omar here?
Not really. I mean, really well played series.
Okay.
Any final thoughts?
I have one final comment. Gentlemen, thank you for casting. I know it was very last minute with the casting. And I appreciate you guys being here to stream the game.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, of course. Well, with that, I'll just, remind everybody, continue to tune in. The playoffs have just gotten started. We have a lot of great series still coming up. Next up on the agenda this Friday, you're going to get to see the winners bracket. Qualmless Chillers going up against New York Nutbusters. That one will be awesome. It's Friday at 9 p.m. And then pay attention to announcements. I do expect that Alberts and Rift Sharks will get scheduled pretty soon. So continue to tune in. Also, I want to shout out our producer, Blind Spiral, running the stream from behind the scenes tonight. Could not have done it without him, but thank you to everybody for watching, and I believe we can call it there.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yep. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.